Welcome to Chris and Jen in the morning.
Where it's always morning somewhere. I'm Chris.
And I'm Jen. We are excited to have you with us today. Today, we are going to talk about the scarcity mindset versus the abundance mindset. But before we get there, we have a couple of other things to talk through. And first, we want to start out with a gratitude moment, our practice of gratitude we've been incorporating this year. So, Chris, do you want to start us out with your
Yeah,
gratitude moment?
happy to. So I have recently been very lucky, blessed to have friends who are very gracious and kind. And
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I'll be
well, you
accepting
are
this one.
you and Ace are two of the people who have so kindly hosted us at your house and took us out to eat and drove us around and all of the things. As I think about things I'm grateful for friends and people who, it's the small things. People can show up and do things for you. We have another friend here in the city who is very thoughtful like that. He scored some potential tickets to see a taping of the Kelly Clarkson show. You basically are put in a queue. It's like, oh, your reservation is there, but you don't know if you actually get into the show until you show up and go through the process. I literally didn't have to do anything. He was like, hey, I got some extra tickets if you guys want to join me in the morning. So we went, we stood in line, we got in, got to see a taping. I signed some paperwork, so I don't think I can disclose too much, but I will say after the episode comes out, I will tell you all about the taping.
I am so excited to hear it. And I am not surprised at all. I mean, I've met this individual and he is a really amazing human, but I'm not surprised at all that you're surrounded by lots of people like that because you just are an incredible, amazing human, which I am very grateful for. But since I can't phone it in and steal your gratitude moment, I will pick a different one. There's so much for us to be thankful for. Today, I'm really feeling very grateful for my dogs, Lola and Chloe. I know we've talked about them before. They're rescues. They are just the most adoring, amazing, fun, well behaved. Even though Chloe stole my dinner off the table today and her sister's dinner last night, she just can't help herself. But they keep us, full of joy and laughing and on our toes, and they're comforting and they sit and cuddle. I'm really grateful to get to have the experience of having them both in our lives, and grateful that they were there on the days that we went to go and adopt them, and that they allowed us to become a part of their life.
Love that. They really rounded out the family unit.
They really do. They really do. And Lola is just growing like a weed. And now she is as tall as her sister. And she just can't eat enough. But she's not the one that steals the food. That's the opportunistic older husky who is constantly
Look, we know that
on the
she's food
hunt.
motivated, right?
Yes,
So
we do. Well, the girls certainly miss you and Frank and Ollie, but we're so excited to have
it's
you all
so much
here,
fun.
and I can't wait to get you back. Um,
It won't be
so
till after summer because I try to avoid Texas at all
I keep
costs in the
telling
summer.
you, we just stay indoors. There's no need to avoid it because we don't go outside. Like, we go from the garage to another garage. Maybe we'll walk outside to get ice cream. And we just stay in the house.
I love how we're already talking about food the next time I visit.
Hey, priorities.
In all
um,
fairness, I don't think we had any ice cream when we were there. We did have the
we
ninja
did.
slushie.
We did. So that wasn't really ice cream, but it was kind of ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was ice cream. But
Well,
we,
so I want us to discuss this kind of
yeah,
a pet peeve of mine as of recent because I feel like I am constantly inundated by messages. And I'm trying to figure out, is this real? Is this someone trying to scam me, trying to steal a credit card number from me? Did someone steal my credit card? Like, I just feel like the scams are on a whole new level. Um, and I think I get so frustrated because there's part of me that Like, I'm trying to figure out, is it real? Is it not real? Some of them are very obvious, like scams. They're not really there. Um, but then there's others that it's like, okay, I truly have to look and make sure, like, this is, I really don't need to respond to this, or
Yeah.
someone's number has been hacked or account has been hacked. And whenever I'm like in the throes of it and so irritated and frustrated beyond, I just like think to myself, like, what if these people actually put their abilities to good use? Like, what if they used their superpower to do good? Like, how amazing could that be? How much further could we progress as a society if instead of you're trying to hack me to get my bank account or to steal my cell phone number, that you actually go do something good with that?
I mean, honestly, I don't think that most of the scammers are using their superpowers to scam because most of the time it's pretty lazy to be
Okay,
to
well,
be
when you put it
honest.
like that,
But they do identify and prey on the vulnerable people. So certainly, they can identify that. But yeah, what if they took their time and their energy and put it into something productive? And there's a part of me that wonders, like, how does somebody come about, this kind of lifestyle? Like, is it that they just don't have a value or a care for human life? Do they just feel like this is, they've tried something different and they just got screwed? Do they like what's d- you know
a normal 9 to 5 wasn't for me. You know what does sound good? I'm gonna go scam people.
like, is it ignorance that they just don't understand how this impacts people and they just think, oftentimes it's not people from within the same country? Do they just think, oh, there's so much abundance and wealth there that, it doesn't really matter, it's not actually going to hurt somebody? Do they not even like get that far to think about
Yeah.
it? Or do they just not care? Like, and I guess,
I mean, is
if
one
you're,
worse than the other? Like,
well, like if it's coming from a place of desperation, like, are you so fixated on what you need that you're not even thinking about what somebody else needs? Like, I'm not saying it makes it right or justifies it, nor am I suggesting that we like just all of a sudden start having this huge amount of compassion for people that, rip other people off.
what
But
I'm hearing is Jen is for the scammers. She is here to
no,
support them. She
nope,
hashtag
absolutely
Jen
not.
loves scammers.
And if
I'm
you,
just kidding.
so we are not hashtagging that. And if you would stop texting me about, this fantastic work from home job opportunity, like on the daily, or my taxes being due, or because I already paid those, hot tip, or you know, um,
My favorite is that the Texas Toll Authority is really concerned about me getting my overdue payment to them. I haven't driven like a vehicle that has been registered in Texas in close to 10 years. Like,
yeah, yeah.
I
I
think you
will
would have
say,
found me by now.
I do think that the scammers have gotten a little lazier because there was a period of time where they would send you like a check in the mail. And then if you cashed the check, they would have some way to like reverse that and get access to your bank account. And so you would think, oh, this is like additional funds from something from years ago that I forgot about or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, that actually feels like that could be believable. I should not say this. Like, people should not not giving
All of a
tips out.
sudden, all these checks are going to start showing up in your mailbox.
I mean, I'm thinking about it because there's a check still sitting on my desk. I just need to throw it away from like a few years ago that I did get in the mail, and on it I wrote like a post-it note: "Is this real?" And we never figured it out, and we just set it to the side and moved on. It was like $8 or something. Not meaningful enough for me to take
Right.
the risk.
Go through the process. Yeah,
But
I do find it interesting because I think as technology has advanced, they've also advanced their way in which they are trying to scam people, like
yeah,
spoofing voices, spoofing phone numbers. Like, I remember I got an email that showed up in my email box and it made it look like I had sent it. And so I usually if I see an email and it's like someone that I know or a company or whatever, I'll go like hover over it to see what the actual email address is, not just trust the name that like shows up. And I did that and it was my email address. And I was like, oh my gosh, have I been hacked? So I go to my sent
They just use
box.
the put your email address in as the display name, and then when you click on it and you see who it's really from.
No, it really was. It was my email address. So basically it was spoofed. My email was spoofed on some
That's
thing,
crazy.
and then they sent it back to me trying to get me to click on it to update my password or something. And I was like, okay, we're not playing this
We are
game.
not playing this game. The most ridiculous one that I have had recently, they've been emailing me about how they got a submission, an anonymous submission from somebody stating that they should reach out to me because they want to write a book about my life. And I would be a very interesting person for them to write a book about. And so I just need to reach out to them because they really want to write a book about me. Now, first of all, no one wants to write a book about me. My life is not that interesting. It's
Okay,
not.
your
I don't know.
perspective.
But then, second, I'm like, what's the end game here? Like, oh, just give me all your passwords and then, you don't have to tell your social and then you don't have to spend any time with me? Or
So that
is
you
it
don't have to
like,
tell the story. Just give us all of your usernames and passwords and we'll go put the story together.
or is it like, okay, spend some time interviewing me and then reach out and say, okay, well, we need to like fund this, and you've already invested the time. Like, what's the end game? How's the
Yeah.
scam occur? But what I do know is that it's definitely a scam. So
I mean, I'm glad you figured that much out. I do. I love it whenever either of us get like those like text messages or whatever, and it's like very obviously like fake and all the things, and we send a screenshot to one another like, "Oh, do you think if I send my social and my birth date that they'll hire me?"
yeah, I mean,
It's little
yes.
things like that that get me through the day.
I've had like friends who have engaged back and forth with them just to waste their time because they're like, well, if I'm wasting their time, then they're not spending time talking to somebody else. And, but I don't know. For some reason, I just have this fear. Even if I just type back to them, something bad's going to
They're gonna be
happen.
able to hack me. They'll trace me back.
It's the mysterious interweb, the series of tubes.
Look, the internet is vast, and we don't know what its true capabilities are yet,
you
right?
know you know so definitely good to think about in terms of you know why do people scam, what could the world be like if they would take their energy and their time and invest it in something more productive. And
Yeah.
I still go back to like, does this just come from a place of they feel like this is what they can do because they have less and other people have more, which takes me to what I want to talk about today,
Yeah.
which is a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. And this is something that's been on our list of topics for a while. It's something that, just transparently, I really struggle with. Having this scarcity mindset, so let me just start by defining it.
Yeah.
A scarcity mindset is a focus on limitations and lack. It's the belief that there will never be enough for everybody. So you need to hang on to what you have. You need to work hard to grapple for it because there isn't going to be enough to go around. And if you have something, you have to hang on to it because if you lose it, you may not get it back.
Right.
Um,
Get
and
well to
abun-
getting is good.
that's right. An abundance mindset is a belief that there are plenty of resources and opportunities for everybody. It's a mindset of optimism, of collaboration and growth, and this belief that it's okay if you pass by something, if you let it go. If you the most simple early example I can think about is being a kid, and it's like, hey, you need to eat everything on your plate because you never know, if you're going to have that again, or there are starving children in other countries,
Right.
or, those things, this like fear that you need to eat while the food's available because it may not be there in the future or next time, or there isn't enough versus hey, like it's okay. There's always going to be more. So, when in an abundance mindset, well, actually, before I move on, let me just pause and ask you, Chris, like, is this something that you relate to? Is this, like, where do you feel like you fit into this topic?
Yeah, I remember I think it was while you were here this last time that we were walking someplace and we decided to do some affirmations together. And I just asked you, like, we weren't walking very far. So I was like, do you have like a short affirmations that we could do together? And as we were going through the one, this idea of abundance came up, and it clearly was talking about like the um, this idea of abundance not being necessarily the tangible things in our lives, but also in this mindset in which we approach the world. And I
Yeah.
remember afterwards, we had like a quick conversation about it because I was like, I've never heard it said like that, or I'd never heard it uh, be framed in that way. And so we had this real quick discussion because we were just about to where we were going. But then, like, as I
Dinner. We were
continued,
going to dinner.
yeah, well, that sounds right. Yeah, affirmations on our way to dinner.
And shout out to Sunny Lenarduzzi because it happens to be her quick little 5 minute affirmation. We'll post the link in the description that I absolutely love and I listen to and repeat constantly. She's fantastic and has given me great words to live by that I repeat regularly. So check
Yeah.
those out.
Um, and so I have found that, like, as I was reading and preparing for this stuff, one of the articles that I read kind of framed it up in as well as the mindset of having a um, fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And that's what I'm more familiar with. Like, those are models that I'm more familiar with. But whenever they like laid those two side by side and kind of shared the perspective of it, it was just very enlightening to me that it kind of just unlocked the way of to approach the way that you see life, but also the way that you see the problems that you may encounter in your day to day. So, um, I found this absolutely fascinating and something that I think has been around like me for many years, but I had never really thought of it in that way. And so it's like, ooh, level up thinking, going
Yeah.
to go about this a little differently next time.
Yeah, I love that you say that because I think awareness is, half the battle. Once you're aware of it, you can start, then uh challenging your own thinking
Right.
about it versus just kind of floating along with where your brain takes you. But um, when you're in the abundance mindset, when you are thinking about collaboration over competition, when you are embracing change, when you are inspiring trust, and when you feel free to take calculated risks. If those are things that you're really struggling with, it could be something else, but could absolutely be that you're kind of trying to protect and moving into that scarcity mindset, thinking, okay, I'm competing and there's only enough room for a limited number, which,
Yeah.
I grew up in a time when competition was, you know, something that was really fostered. And I don't think there's anything wrong with competition. Um, Speaking as somebody who is highly competitive, so I certainly have
I've
friends
seen
who
how you play games.
I certainly have friends who may see that differently. But I mean, competition is good, but if you're feeling really competitive versus collaborative in a situation that's maybe not a competition,
Yeah.
then
But
that might be a cue
yeah,
there. Um,
I think there's a lot like growing up as well. I think we're taught like this healthy competitiveness that um I think sometimes can go too far. And whenever we start thinking of this um when it starts to shift into the other areas in which we live and show up, I think that's where we can start getting in danger. And we've talked a lot about like how where we kind of how we've grown up and the things that we've taught and how those start plugging into our life as we grow up. I think this is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, like if you're on the highway, racing another car, not racing like speeding, but like watching which lane is going faster and oh man, they're beating me and something I can relate to. Like why does that matter? Like what is that where does that mindset come from?
Right.
What's like is it that we're afraid we have limited time is scarce and we got to get there the fastest because we have to maximize and optimize our time. I definitely have a scarcity mindset when it comes to time. um so I think that's like a layer I can add on to my introspection and my thinking to kind of really test the thought processes that I have and decide like, do I want to continue down this path or do I want to maybe pivot the way that I'm thinking about something so that I can find, more satisfaction in life and better happiness and less stress and all of those things. The article that I was reading was suggesting that we think about the scarcity versus abundance mindset in a few different facets of life. So, thinking about it in terms of your financials, thinking about it from an emotional standpoint. So, you can have an abundance versus scarcity mindset when it comes to emotional interactions, how you share your emotions, how you interact with others from a social standpoint and then from a career standpoint as well. Somebody like they were talking about somebody that's been through a job loss situation maybe a couple of times, um, building this fear that there aren't enough jobs out there for
Yeah.
everybody. Now we go into scarcity mode of it's you have to protect what you have and you have to compete against others because there's not enough out there versus an abundance mindset where people are thinking, well, that's okay. Like there are plenty of opportunities and another one's going to come along. And I certainly know people that think both ways.
Yeah.
And the people that kind of think with the abundance mindset around career, like they do seem to find another opportunity and they seem a lot less stressed and a lot happier about it. So that was definitely something for me to kind of sit back and consider because I hadn't applied it from that standpoint yet. I kind of more applied it from a financial and a
Yeah.
like a things. I tend to hang on to things, as you know, and it's like, well, if I let it go, I'm never gonna have. I mean, I need this thing, and I won't have it, and
Yeah.
just that thing that's like kind of bred from early on that you
Yeah.
just you hang on to things. Um,
Well,
so
just
this
hearing
whole
how you like described that, like from the
yeah.
career standpoint, like you and I read the same article where it references the careers. Um, I didn't I find it interesting because I do think if you're already in this mindset, like it's that awareness and how you have to like shift and change and you know, it's that awareness to be able to change the outcome. Um, but then I also think of like all the external factors that people are constantly inundated with jobs reports and like the actual getting back either, hey, thanks for applying, but we're moving on with other candidates. Like there's a lot of like external messages as well that you have to try
But I
and
think the way that you interpret those messages like comes back to your own mindset. Like it comes back to the lens that you have and are using. Um,
I
so
agree.
if you have a scarcity mindset about it and then you're looking for well the jobs report even though like unemployment is still pretty low in general, um there's we've been at all-time low unemployment rates for a very long time. And so it's kind of come up a little bit, but it's still really pretty low by comparison if you look over time. It's just the types of jobs, happen to be shifting. And the job market's been doing some really weird stuff, really like for the past 5 years or so.
Yeah.
Um, but, if you have a scarcity mindset, or if you're in a scarcity mode mindset about that, which is not a like I'm not labeling that. It's not a bad thing. It's just kind of a like question how you're approaching it. Then all of those things are much scary, and it's much scarier. It's harder to adapt to change, and I kind of find myself kind of questioning. Okay, like am I stressed out about this because I'm afraid that there aren't going to be enough jobs so that, when I'm ready to go back to work, there won't be something there for me? And how can I flip the script on the way that I'm thinking about this.
Yep.
You know, where is this really coming from? If I kind of peel back the layers even further, it's usually not about the surface topic,
Right.
but it's usually about like these deep rooted beliefs that I have, and questioning those, and how did I form those beliefs, and do I want to maybe re-inform myself? So definitely, I know that, you know, some of the articles really got into the like, why do people carry these different mindsets? I didn't focus on that for our conversation today because I think a lot can go into that,
Yeah.
but more just sort of recognizing where you're at, and then I think the biggest reminder for me is that we have an opportunity to change the way that we're thinking about it. Like,
Yep.
you're not necessarily always in control of every thought that comes into your head, but you absolutely have the ability to decide what is it that you want to keep, and then where do you want to pivot, and you can give yourself agency to decide that. I know this is something I talk about a lot, but it's something I'm really leaning into. So then the question is how? Like, great, I can sort of change the way that I'm thinking about these things, but how do I do that? So one of the things that they talk about is gratitude. I know we've been leaning into gratitude a
Yep.
lot this year, right?
Yeah, we sure have. And I think one of the things that I appreciated the most about this is the way that they define gratitude is very broad. Like
Yeah.
it can be a bullet point list, it can be a gratitude journal, it can be like it's just reflecting on your day or your circumstance or whatever it may be, and finding moments that you can express gratitude for.
Yeah. I One of the sayings I used to use at work a lot is that people replicate what we recognize. And if I take that and I internalize it and I think about that for myself, I'm going to replicate what I recognize. So if I spend time in positive affirmations, or if I spend time in like gratitude moments, and you know, investing my time in thinking about all the things I have to be grateful for versus all of the things that, you know, are stressing me out or that are going wrong, or all the, you know, things in the world that I can't control, like those are going to be the things that carry my energy versus spending my time thinking about, you know, all the things I have to be grateful for, which is a great many things.
Right.
um, you know, that definitely sets a different tone in my mindset, and I absolutely do think brings me back to this place of abundance, where I remember all those things that are easy to take for granted until you don't have them
Right.
anymore. um, I used to, when I would started my walking routine years ago, it was really hard to get started. And I would say, I am grateful I have legs and that I can walk. And because I was really cranky about the fact that I had to get up early and I had to go do something I didn't want to do, and it wasn't built as a habit yet. And so I would just like be cranky walking down the street saying, I am grateful that I have legs and I can walk. But really, like, as I stopped to listen to myself say that and I reflected on that, I take my legs for granted, and I don't want to do that
Yep.
because, you know, I'm not guaranteed to have them forever. So I am grateful that I have legs and I can walk. And so I think the practice of gratitude just helps you remember all the things that you have surrounding you in life, versus all the things that you lack.
Right.
Um, Awareness is really key for changing your mindset. So putting yourself more in charge of what you're thinking and how you're thinking versus just kind of floating along with the thoughts as they come into your head, um, because then you have the ability to choose how you want to continue
Right.
that thought process. And then intention. They talked about, you know, this really being intentional. No one is naturally showing up in an abundance mindset all of the time. um, no one is, you know, naturally, you know, in this place of positivity and gratitude all of the time. You know, it takes intention,
Yep.
and people that do this consistently really well, you know, you ask them about their daily practices, and they spend time in the morning being intentional about, you know, what they bring to their day. And so I think those were my three takeaways on how you can really create an abundance mindset more frequently in life. What about you,
Yeah.
Chris?
Well, I think in one of those articles it talks about how affirmations is a great place for
Yeah.
intention, like how to create affirmations that help drive that intention mindset, so that way you have that thing to go back to whenever you
Yeah.
find yourself in not a great place or you start to spiral, you have that you can go back to.
Me? Spiral? What?
No, never. Um,
Constant.
but I do think like what I appreciated about it was that it does give you like those it can you one I think the awareness of this is something once you are aware, you can then start um, taking action and setting yourself up, for example. And I know that this sounds like so hokey and whatever you want to call it, but I truly do believe like if you have an intention and you put a plan to how you're going to make it to that place, if you have a plan, you always have something to go back to when things go off the rails or not as planned.
Yeah.
And I don't it had to have been like in a college class or maybe even high school. There was like one of those inspirational posters, and it says, if you have failed to prepare, you have prepared to fail. And I use like people make fun of me all the time for saying that, but it's like one of those things that I just think is like so true, because we so easily just like will jump in or try to tackle something. And if we just take a little time to think about it and be mindful about it and put things in place that set us up for success, um, when the tough gets going, you have that anchor to come back to. And that's what I really appreciated about the article. And I think I think people have to go on this journey themselves to understand like the why behind the mindsets that they have, because everyone's going to
Yeah.
be different. And once you can figure those things out, you can then start to put things in place to help you be successful, no matter where your journey may take you.
Absolutely. And why do we bring this topic to the table? It's really just another tool in the toolkit to help you live a less stressed, happier, more satisfied life, which is really what I'm chasing. That's what I'm all about. How do I get more out of this limited time? There's my scarcity mindset coming out. This limited time that I have on earth. Like, how do I get the most out of it? And I want to spend my time, more of it being happier, enjoying it, feeling like the fullness and the richness of life versus, worrying that I'm not going to have enough. And so recognizing that in myself and saying, you know what, I want to start thinking differently about this. That's sort of the journey that I'm on, and what I would offer up, because I think this is a lot more common than people realize. Um,
Well, and
so
this study is actually fairly even new, like
yeah.
this terminology. I think all the articles that I read basically called that out. Like, although this has been something that people have struggled with for forever, it is newer to the understanding of like how it impacts us and how we actually do have more control over it than we thought we did. So I do think like it's worth calling out that even though it's something that's newer, it's something that like it's been it's
It's
been
been
real
around
and
for a long
around.
time. Yeah. And so what's in it for me? Why is it that I would want to focus on this? There are kind of six very tangible outcomes that all of the research, basically said, um, focusing on an abundance mindset over a scarcity mindset helps you in these six ways. So one, reducing stress and anxiety. And we all know that's that's something I could use a little more
Sign
of.
me up.
That's right. Improving relationships, because when you're in an abundance mindset, you're more trusting, and being able to trust more, in appropriate ways, helps to improve relationships. It's hard to build really strong relationships without trust. Um, Increased creativity and problem solving. So, you're able to really kind of take more calculated risks when you have this abundance mindset versus, whenever. So, this is something that really sticks with me, but I remember way back when we used to work together at the same company, there was this discussion that we were constantly having with IT. And they wanted to make a change that, just from our department's standpoint, we felt like was a big compromise to the integrity of our process. And so this topic, every time it came up, and it came up constantly, it would just be incredibly tense, and it wouldn't go well. And it's like people at opposite sides of a problem. And so I recall thinking, I'm going to go into this topic, into this conversation with a different mindset. And instead of feeling myself, because why is it that this feels so tense all the time? And it's like, okay, well, because like I'm stressed that they are going to do something that's going to compromise my process. And yet they're stressed that I need them to solve a problem that they feel like they can't solve. And so we're both like approaching this from really this like scarcity mindset of like, we're going to lose this thing and there aren't enough resources, there aren't enough ways to solve the problem, versus having this like abundance mindset where we say, okay, well, there are many ways to get to the top of the mountain. And so like, let's just think collaboratively and creatively, and we can better solve this problem. So that's an example that sticks out for me. It's one of those kind of meaningful moments in life that I think back on often. Um, Increased happiness and satisfaction. So when you don't feel like you're constantly fighting for limited resources, no surprise, you just feel happier in general. Um, Increased resilience and adaptability. Again, like you're able to actually, your amygdala hijack isn't kicking in all the time because
Right.
you know you're not doing that human nature scientific. It's just neuroscience, that fear of
Right.
that threat. And then higher levels of success, which obviously, if you're getting 1 through 5, those are going to lead to higher levels of success in general.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Whenever all of these things fall into place and come together correctly, it's like it locks in, it leads you to this place. And then I think once, like what you said, we want to see it, we want to replicate it. Like, I think that is how you start to build that pattern. And then
Yeah.
the article also talks about like being mindful of the people who you surround yourself with. It speaks about that in particular to relationships, but I think that's also like whenever you're trying to emulate something, whenever you're trying to achieve something, having people who understand like what you're trying to get to and how you're going about trying to get there, it's important that they know so that they can help support you and be along with you. And I think that's one of those things that um we have in each other, we have with our
Yeah.
partners, our close friends. Like, I think that is so important to understand the people aspect of it all. And then they get to go on the journey with you and they get to see it and they also, um, like get to benefit from it because they get to see you happy and they get to see you in this place of happiness and success. And I just love thinking of my friends achieving their goals and being in great places.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was one more thing that I read that kind of took all of this thinking and put it through a different lens, and said, okay, so what if you apply this abundance mindset to yourself, and thinking like, I am enough. I have enough within me. I do not lack the right resources, capabilities, ability to solve problems. And I think this goes back to that affirmation, that favorite affirmation I have by Sunny Lenarduzzi that I listened to, my quick little 4.5 minute mindset reset, which we'll link in the description. I would highly suggest you guys check it out because it's 4.5 minutes incredibly well spent. But I think one of the things she closes with is like, I have everything I need within me, and everything that I desire is already done. And like for me, just that mindset of not just there's enough out there in the world, but like I am enough. What is inside of me is enough. That's gets a little meta for me. Like, I have to really stop and think about that. So that's one I've got to chew on a little bit. But it was an interesting perspective.
Yeah, it is. And I think like even just hearing that and like internalizing it based on wherever you were in life before to where you are now, that can definitely be much easier said than done. But I do think it's one of those things, if you say it constantly and it's one thing to think something, it is another thing to say something, which I think is the thing that you said you liked about affirmations, is the tactileness of being able to engage with it in that way. I think that that is something that is probably not truly engaged and fully held. People don't grasp it until you are at this place where you need it. So I
Yeah,
would encourage everyone to try it now. I am enough.
I am enough. And I used to think, okay, how many times do I have to say this before I'm fixed? And that's not how it works. So
All right, rewind the tapes. Let her listen.
Spoiler alert, that's not how it works. But I remember years ago, I was looking to make a job change and I was interviewing. And I remember I was talking to you and I was on my way to this interview and I just was a mess inside, not on the outside. On the outside, I was all zipped up, cool, calm, collected, my, power suit on and all the things. But on the inside, I was just a mess. And you're one of the few people that I allow myself to be a mess in front of. And I remember like this is what I was looking for from you is like that reassurance of like I am enough. And I would go on my walks in the morning and I would repeat to myself like I am enough. I am good at what I do. I have everything I need inside of me. But it was really hard to say those words. Like I didn't believe them at all at first. And what I realized is if how am I going to go convince somebody else to give me a job if I can't believe that about myself? So I absolutely think that I say, thinking of the abundance mindset from an internal perspective is a bit meta for me, but it's probably more that it's a tough concept for
Yeah.
me to work through. So something that needs a little more reflection. Um, so I'm going to stick with level one at the moment and really focus on that external perspective. But then, like take it and turn it inward and think about, um, abundance within yourself. And
Yeah.
I had a couple of people that I had worked with in the past share a similar sentiment with me, where they said, Jen, your ability to learn, like I will always count on that. So maybe you don't know something now, but you'll always figure it out. You have the capacity to learn. And that's
Yeah.
something that I put on repeat in my head to reassure myself is, you know what, I am good at learning things. I can figure it out. So I don't have to have all the answers because, um, that it's not about, you know, having it all under control. That ability to learn is there. So just thinking about that from an abundance mindset too.
Yeah, you're the one who taught me the idea of it's not about having the right answers, it's about asking the right questions. And like I have like that has changed the way in which I approach many things, because like I do think that like, yes, there's value in being subject matter expert and having a deep understanding and all of the, and we need those. Like
Yeah.
I'm not saying that those individuals are not important, but sometimes you need that outside person who can come in and bring a different perspective. And if they don't know anything, sometimes the value that they're going to bring is the ability to ask the questions that maybe the people who are in it and live it every day are like, they don't ask it because they already know it. So it's like not a processed thing. I don't know if that makes sense how I'm saying it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think, even if you're a subject matter expert, you're a subject matter expert not of everything, right?
right.
So if you show up like you know everything, or I think where um in those early career days would come from is like I need to have all the answers. Like I have to figure it out. But like it's not about having all of the answers. It's about being able to share what you do know, but then being able to ask the questions so that the collective knowledge from everybody in the room can, and getting the right people at the table so that the collective knowledge can help solve the problems. And that definitely was a mindset change for me because I put a lot of pressure on myself to figure it all out. Um, and that I think is the scarcity mindset too.
Yeah.
That hey, we've just got to solve the problem. We've got to figure it out. We got to fight tooth and nail versus like being a little more relaxed in that it's going to come. It's
Yeah.
all going to come. There's enough out there for everybody.
What's interesting is as I was reading these articles, I found myself like, oh, this is my I think I kind of live in the abundance mindset. I think it's
Yeah.
something that is easier for me. But when I'm stressed, I do not.
You
I
go to
struggle
the
to stay in
scarcity.
that
Yeah.
space. So it
Yeah.
was an interesting insight even for myself, like as someone who like thinks that, I have a good understanding of it, and like, oh, I got my own little insights and things to work on as well. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having this conversation with us today. We really appreciate it. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your tips and tricks, your thoughts, your perspective. I have said this is something that I vulnerably am working on myself. So, absolutely would love to hear from all of you. Please join in on the conversation. Share your comments wherever you listen to our podcast. We do check and read those comments. Send us an email or a text message. Chris, how can they get a hold of us?
yeah, so you can reach us via email at chrisjeninthemorning@gmail.com. That is all one word, chrisjeninthemorning@gmail.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail or text us at 940-278-8129. And you can follow us on all your favorite podcast platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube if you want to actually see what we look like when we're doing these things.
Yeah. Oh, and we've just recently uploaded video on Spotify as well. So
Right?
if you are listening on Spotify and you want to watch on Spotify, all of our Spotify podcasts have a video option now too.
Look at us go.
Look at us go. Well, Chris, thank you for joining me in this conversation today. And it's been great to chat with everybody.
It has. We wish everyone a wonderful day, evening, night, and we'll catch you next time.
Later.